Hi, today is February 6th, 2023, and here are my poems for the day. The first one is poem number 217 for the year, Dre. You had to figure the fix was in at the Grammys last night, and that if anyone was going to win the first Dr. Dre Award for global impact, it was going to be Dre. And I don't begrudge him his award, but then, as he accepted the award last night, did he have to fix his eyes on me and be like, quality over quantity? It was like he was rhetorically asking me if the world really needs or even wants more than 200 poems in 5 weeks from Johnny over here. And I was like, I get your point, Dre. And the answer is probably no, but sometimes it feels like I need them. And I know that I want them. And that's all I got to say, Dre. That's all I got to say, except congratulations on your well-deserved Grammy. That's all I got to say. Poem number 218, The Poems That Come to Me. I had too many ideas for poems yesterday, and the next 3 poems are based on ideas that I had yesterday. And as I write them, I may come up with even more ideas for even more poems. I am not complaining. I am more grateful than you can possibly imagine for the poems that come to me. I've done nothing to deserve them other than show up and pay attention to them. I guess that's really all I need to do, and it's what I want to do. So all of this continues to be working out very well, except I can feel Dr. Dre shaking his head and going, If I can just get Dre and his quality over quantity indictment out of my head, maybe I could move forward. On the other hand, maybe I should listen. Maybe what Dr. Dre is saying is, if you have to write that many poems, why not spend more time with each one and turn each one into a poem of quality instead of just adding it to the already ridiculously huge pile? He makes a good point, but I think I have an answer. When it comes down to it, I am more interested in presenting ideas clearly than I am in presenting those ideas in the best possible light or dressing them up in flowery language. Messed that up last take too. And sometimes I feel so oppressed by the backlog of ideas that I just want to deal with the poems that come to me as they come to me, to which Dre would no doubt say, "Did you just say you feel oppressed?" And now I'm like, oh shit, I better get the fuck out of this poem and on to the next one. Quality over quantity, perhaps, but quantity over tone-deaf figures of speech, I should think. Poem number 219, Stuff You Can No Longer Take. Working from home means you can no longer take stuff that you used to take from work, but even if you ever go back to the office, there's a lot of stuff you can no longer take. It is very rare that you will see an ashtray at the office, and you don't smoke anymore anyway. And word processors haven't been around the office for decades. You could still take a phone, but what would you do with it? Who even has a landline these days other than my mom and maybe yours? There's still plenty of stuff you can take, rubber bands, paper clips, memo pads, folders, but there's also a lot of stuff you can no longer take, and actually, there may be a lot of stuff you left there. And one of these days, you ought to go back and pick that shit up. Poem number 220, Raynaud's Syndrome. I recently learned about Raynaud's syndrome, and I think it's the stupidest bullshit I have ever heard of. Raynaud's syndrome is that peculiar phenomenon of your fingers and toes getting cold when it's cold outside. Really? Fuck you, Raynaud. Maurice Raynaud was the son of a university professor, and his uncle helped get him into medical school, and for years he had been wanting to be known for something, to have something named after him, but he sucked, and he couldn't come up with anything. And then one day he went outside, and it was cold outside, and he was like, baissez-moi, mes doigts et mes orteils sont froids, which is French for fuck me, my fingers and my toes are cold. It's better in French because it rhymes. And then he went back inside and wrote his dissertation, and boom, Raynaud's syndrome. The dumb motherfucker is famous. I've got some syndromes for you, Raynaud, you dumb motherfucker. Hall's syndrome is when it's really hot outside and you sweat because it's hot outside, you fucking moron. Johnny's phenomenon is when your nose itches and you really want to scratch it because it itches. Hall's stomach is where you eat too fucking much and you gain weight because you ate too fucking much. I've got Hall's stomach pretty bad these days. And here's one, Hall's balls. That's when you think a doctor is so fucking stupid and his syndrome is such fucking bullshit that you tell him to suck your fucking balls. What do you think of Hall's balls? Dr. Raynaud. Brilliant, right? And I don't even have a medical degree. Go fuck yourself with your fucking syndrome, Raynaud, you fucking poser. Do you know that word, Raynaud? It's French for poser. Look it up, you piece of shit. And last one is poem number 221, Heaven or Not. There was a weird commercial on Jeopardy the night before last. My memory is fuzzy now, but it was something about if you want to know whether or not you're going to heaven, you could go to this website and find out. The website is heavenornot.net. So I immediately went, and the website did saith unto me, being accepted by God and allowed into heaven is not of your good works, or whatever your definition of good behavior might be. You can't get into heaven on your own. Line breaks mine, ellipses theirs. And then did the website recommendeth unto me, if heaven is the desire of your heart, to say a certain prayer. So I figured, what the hell, and I said the prayer, and then I clicked the button that said, yes, I prayed, all caps. And the website asked for my email address so that a representative could talk to me, but I didn't feel like talking to a representative, even though I had some questions. So I asked my mom the questions instead. I said, so I could punch someone in the face, but if I believe in Jesus and pray to him, I would still go to heaven, and she didn't answer. So I asked, could I eat babies alive and still go to heaven? And she said, I don't think so. And I said, well, that's what this website seems to be saying. I'll admit, I am confused about certain religious questions, but I'm suspicious of any religion that would let me eat babies alive and still offer me the final reward. On the other hand, it is nice to think that no matter how bad I may have been, and to be clear, I haven't eaten any babies alive and probably never will, but no matter how bad I may have been or will be, I am always capable of redemption and forgiveness simply because Jesus apparently died for my sins. I hope somebody else died for Patti Smith's sins, because if not, I don't know what she's going to do. All right, that's it. I am reading tomorrow at KGB. There'll be some special guests. Tomorrow, February 7th, 7 p.m., KGB is between 2nd and 3rd Avenue on East 4th Street, 85 East 4th Street, if I'm not very much mistaken, but don't quote me on that. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.